YouTube channel. It's me, Vicky. Now, I know I didn't post yesterday, but today is another whole 24 hours. And I will get this video out today. Now, today what I'm going to be reacting to is 3 true Halloween stories. I don't know how true it is, but we're going to look at it to see if it's true. You know, we're going to see. We're going to see. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And please turn on your post notifications so you know when the next time I post. So you can be updated on every single video that I post. Because we're going to get this thing started. My hair sticking up, y'all. But that don't even matters to what we about to do. That don't even, y'all don't care about that. Y'all care about this video. So we're going to get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is story 1.
For the month of October in 2016, I worked at Party City as a seasonal job. It was pretty hectic for the Halloween season, obviously. I got stuck with the night shifts on weekdays since I didn't have early classes. The location I worked at changed its closing hours on weeknights to 11 p.m. during the Halloween season. My shift would start usually at 5 and I'd work till close. The rush would die after 9. And after 10, there would hardly be anyone left in the store.
If y'all go in Party City now, I don't even think y'all gonna see all them Halloween costumes like that.
On my shift on the day in question, I started work at what was referred to as a costume grabber.
Not the one I went into a while ago.
I would be told on walkie-talkie what costume and what size to grab so that I could hand it to the customer and they could try it on. After it quieted down, and later on in my shift, I was told to start cleaning up the aisles, restocking, and bringing stuff either up from or down to the basement.
I'm not for to go down to no basement.
I got tiring quickly because it was a lot of walking up and downstairs.
I don't mess with basements.
Past 10, there were only about 4 of us still working. A girl named Maria working the cash
and
register,
this is
Kyle
this
cleaning
story.
aisles and stocking shelves,
we're watching
Ashley
this,
the supervisor for the night,
and they're talking
and
about
me
basement.
doing the back and forth basement work. The basement was at least connected straight to the upstairs costume storage room. So it wasn't a super long walk from the basement.
But let me shut up.
I took a 10-minute breather, then went to continue lugging boxes from the basement up to the costume storage room. The lights of the basement had been turned off by someone. I figured Ashley. I flipped the light switch back on, and down into the basement I went. As I was lifting a box of girls' costumes, I heard something fall on the other side of the basement. Not to make you think this basement was really big, it was just one big circle full of boxes with a big shelf in the middle.
I would have ran.
I put down the box
right when I heard something
slowly peered my head around the shelf. There was someone in a white hooded robe costume with a scary monster mask. Of course, I jumped back at first, and I laughed, saying, "You got me." Whichever of my coworkers was in the costume didn't speak, though.
Think it's a prank if you want to.
They tilted their head to the side a bit, as if they were still messing with me.
Think it's a prank if you want to.
I had a feeling it was Ashley at first. Even though she would supervise some nights, she was a clown.
Okay.
But then I realized this person was way too tall to be Ashley, so it had to be Kyle. I tried approaching him to remove the mask. He just backed away from me, though. Then I looked down at the boots on his shoes. The dirty, heavy work boots that I knew for a fact Kyle wasn't wearing. I started getting the shivers.
It ain't Kyle.
I went back up the stairs without running to avoid suspicion. I shut the basement door and went straight to Ashley, who was talking to Maria by the register. I asked, "Where's Kyle?" And he literally called "What's up" from a nearby aisle.
Oh, so he went down there, right?
I asked if there was anyone else working that night. She said everyone went home. So I told her someone was in the basement in a costume who didn't belong there. Kyle and Ashley came with me to the basement so I could prove it to them. But like any cliche horror scenario, whoever was down there was gone.
Yeah.
There was a back exit in the upstairs costume room for unloading truck shipments. It was possible the intruder exited through there. Ashley sped through the security footage of the past hour and didn't see anyone enter the costume room except for me. But there wasn't a camera in the basement or the actual costume room itself to check that. Part of me felt like it was a prank, and that if I went back down there, I'd find the person in the costume again. But my job was my job, and I had to get back down there to continue stocking the costume room.
Why would you go back down
When I
there?
got back down there, I once again picked up the box of girl costumes I originally was trying to bring up, got it to the stairs, and stopped because I thought I may have heard the noise of a small plastic bag being slightly crumpled. Of course,
Why
I
would
didn't
he
want to
go
stay
back
down
down
there to
there?
find out alone. I wasn't getting paid enough. My shift was almost over, so I lugged the heavy box up the stairs, dropped it in the costume room, and went back to the doorway of the basement to shut off the light. Before I did, I looked down the staircase, and at the bottom was that person in the white robe costume again. Only this time minus the mask.
What? Oh, snap. I
I
just
saw
got
his
scared.
face, his smiling face looking up at me.
Ooh.
I slammed the door shut and ran out to Ashley and the rest, screaming for help.
Lock the door.
They came as
Put
fast as they
something
could.
in
to
front of the
costume.
door. Why would you keep the door? Why would you?
The door inside
See,
was wide open.
and
as
that's
was the
how
basement door. This time, for
people
real,
in
he
these
was
scary
gone.
movies die because they're not
The
smart.
one camera on the outside
But this is
delivery
just a
area didn't
story.
even catch him. I don't really know if that intruder managed to steal anything other than the costume he was wearing.
No.
For all I know, it could have been just one big Halloween prank. Or he might have been in there looking to actually hurt someone.
Think that if you want to.
For all I knew, it was an armed robber, though, and I treated the situation as though my life were in danger.
I'm sorry that just cut off, but this is story 2. So,
My favorite month has always been October. It's that sweet spot temperature-wise. It's never too hot and never too cold. All the leaves start turning orange and brown, and you just get that nice, refreshing October breeze.
yep.
My friends and I always
Pretty.
used to like to rake up the leaves into a
But
big
it ain't
pile
so
and have
pretty
wrestling matches in them when we were young.
when scary
Like
stuff
from the
happens.
ages of 9 to 12. I think when we were about 10 or 11, it was towards the end of October, and a lot of the leaves had already fallen off the trees. Since my property was the biggest, my friends Liam and Billy were helping me rake up the leaves on my property into a giant pile. It was a cloudy, windy day, getting a little late. The house we lived in at the time was a corner house with a huge space on the side next to the sidewalk, which ran into a short dead-end street with only 2 houses in it, one of which owned by an old stoner couple who didn't care about anything, and across the street from that was a small, disheveled house, whose owner never seemed to come outside. So this allowed us to be louder and more
we used to do
obnoxious
this when we
without
was
the worry of
kids.
a lot of neighbors
Me and
watching
my
or
sister.
caring. We wrestled around for probably half an hour. Then we went inside after getting tired to have a snack and play video games. The 2 of them wanted to go back outside for a nighttime triple threat match in the leaves again. That's what we called our wrestling matches. We always acted like we were in the WWE. When we got back out
Until
there, it was
something
almost
happened.
completely dark, but a street light that stood in the dead end lit up this side of our property, so we could see enough. It seemed as though there were a lot less leaves in the pile right off the bat this time. We tried wrestling a little more, but the pile just spread too far, so we had to grab the rakes and start building the pile again. Liam noticed a long, oddly shaped pile that we didn't notice from before. He went over to start raking it over to our main pile, but he seemed to be having trouble. He shouted, "There's something under the leaves." We came over to help him brush some of the leaves off whatever was underneath, and all of us screamed when we realized there was a grown man hiding underneath the pile.
A grown man.
We
What a
stopped
grown
and
man
looked at
doing?
each other,
Trying to prank
looked
some
back at
kids.
him. We didn't know whether to laugh or not. Like, was he playing some kind of early Halloween prank on us?
No, it's a grown man.
The man's face was not yet exposed. Liam and I dared Billy to go expose the man's face. He walked up to the body on the floor slowly, looked back at us, and started lightly kicking the leaves away from where the person's face would be. As he kicked, he realized the body was hollow and hard. There was no face or head. It was a fake body that someone planted there, some kind of...
Oh, I was about to
But
say.
who placed it there?
I thought it was a real
My
body.
question was quickly answered when we noticed someone hiding in my bush right behind the pile. We yelled, "We see you," to the man hiding in the bushes, and he came out laughing, exclaiming how he got us so good. But this man was older. He looked 60, and he looked scary and gross.
60.
Huge, bulging eyes.
Trying to
crooked
play with some little
teeth, and he was
kids.
breathing very heavily.
And you 60.
He said he planted that fake body there because he always watches us play in the leaves and thought it would be funny. That
What?
creeped me out, though. How he said he always watches us play in the leaves.
These stories is
Liam
unbelievable.
tried being nice, but I thought the man was weird. So I said, come on guys, let's go inside, and we left the man there. I told my dad, and he went outside to check, but the man had already moved the fake body by then. We played video games the rest of the night, all having agreed that guy was a freak. My friends eventually left, and soon after I went to my room. I had my window open as usual to get a breeze into my room.
Why?
I was watching TV.
Why?
I heard a man's
Especially
voice at my window.
if his
I
room is
jumped, looked up at the
downstairs,
window, but
I
couldn't
would
see who
never
it
leave my
was.
window open.
The voice said, I didn't mean to creep you out earlier. I live in the house across the street over there, and I like watching you kids play in the leaves.
What?
I was in shock, hearing a stranger's voice outside my window.
Through your window.
I continued looking at the window, and eventually the familiar face of that freako from earlier came into view.
Why he didn't let the
He
window
reached his arm
down?
under my window and pushed it up further as he attempted to
sorry.
climb into my window.
Sorry.
When he realized he couldn't fit, it seemed he started to try to reach for me.
Why would he
Screamed
let
for
the
my
window
dad and
down?
ran upstairs to his room.
Well, I mean,
Tugged
why
him
wouldn't
out
he
of
let
his
the
bed
window
and
down?
led
Why
him to my
wouldn't he hear that
window.
voice?
The man was already gone, but I told him he lived in the house across the street in the dead end. My dad charged over to the house with me, banged on the door, but the man didn't answer. So my dad called the cops, and when they came, he took me back to the house with the police. And this time with the police, the man opened the front door, and it was in fact the same man. I was too young to be able to tell, but the police and my dad picked up on it right away that he was on something. Likely crystal meth is what my dad
Oh,
says.
he was on something, all right.
I remember looking into the house from the doorway,
Trying to
and seeing
prank
that
some
it was
little
an
kids.
absolute pigsty. Thinking back now, it would fit the description for the home of a meth head perfectly. All those years living there, we were none the wiser that there was a creepy meth head living in that disheveled house,
Wow.
apparently watching my friends and I as we would play.
Wow. Yeah, he was on something, all right. This is story 3. That story was crazy.
This past October, I was talking to this girl I met at a party a month prior. For the purpose of this story, she'll be named Nikki. We
Okay.
had been talking and hanging out like once a week for a few weeks. She wanted to do a bunch of October activities, so I came up with the idea that we go apple picking. She loved it. So we hopped in the car to take a trip to the nearest apple picking orchard, which was about a half-hour drive away, out of the suburbs to the more rural part of the area. We live in Jersey, so there's an abundance of places to go, but I let her pick where. It said we were still about 20 minutes away, and we were driving down a scenic road with little to no traffic.
I don't like
We
roads
actually
like
passed
that.
what appeared to be another apple orchard.
They look like
So we
this?
turned down this dirt road up to a small wooden farm-like house, but there were no cars, no people, not even a little stand where people would go to pay to enter.
So don't stop. Keep
It
going.
seemed it wasn't open for business, or maybe it just wasn't open to the public at all. The house was very poorly kept. It almost looked as though nobody lived there. As we walked around the
Obviously.
property, Nikki said she felt uncomfortable. So we got back in the car and continued the route to the originally planned destination. However, when we got there, this one was also void of people, though this one at least had a closed sign at the stand. I told her, what if we went back to that first orchard that looked almost abandoned and just go picking there? We'd have the whole place to ourselves. At first she was hesitant, but I convinced her. So I drove us back and found a low-key place to park on the grass by the woods. We walked through the crushing leaves on the dirt path. If we were trying to be discreet, that was out the window. There was a little wooden fence we had to hop, but it was easy. Once inside, we were hidden by the symmetrical rows of thick apple trees.
Why
Our
would they
feet were also
go?
covered in tall grass.
Like, what is
up
they
to our
trying to do?
shins.
Why would they go? Where?
We started walking down the row of trees, filling the plastic bags we brought from my car with the best apples we could find. Though, admittedly, there weren't many. There was a certain thrill in doing this, knowing we weren't supposed to. We had some fun with it. I would start launching apples up in the air, and then I would start pretending like I was going to throw apples at Nikki. She started screaming, running off, telling me to stop. She cut through a couple trees to another row, and when I got to the other side, I didn't see her. "Where are you?" I said. She called back, "I'm picking my own apples." She actually sounded like she was a few rows over.
Nikki tripping.
I apologized, laughing, telling her I'd stop, but she didn't answer. I
Nikki
spent a few minutes trying to find her.
My ears was
Suddenly,
trying
an
to
apple
come up.
landed right in front of me, which had been tossed from one of the rows nearby. Then another one landed close by. I yelled stop because I was actually afraid of getting hit in the head.
That wasn't
I
Nikki.
ran through a couple trees, and each each row I'd pass, I'd look left and right trying to find Nikki. I went down this row and went through the first couple of trees I could fit through to get to the next side. I looked left, and I actually felt like my heart launched up into my throat, because there was some guy, a young guy like 18 or 19-year-old, with long black hair to his shoulder, standing in the center of the row, maybe 5 trees away from me. It looked like he had a slight smirk on his face.
Oh, I done seen too many movies like
Oh,
that.
I did.
Time to go.
Squeezed through to the next row and then the next.
You shouldn't have been there.
Nikki called my phone. I picked up in a hurry, whispered,
Yeah, I
"Where
better go
are
to the
you?"
grocery store, pick some
She
apples.
sounded like she was in a panic. She said into the phone there was a creepy guy following her around. She tried talking to him, but he wouldn't say anything, and he looked like he wanted to hurt her, and her description of him matched the guy I just saw. I told her to meet me back at the car. I ran the way back, and Nikki was already waiting at the car. We stopped to discuss what just happened, but Nikki yelled, "There he is," and pointed in front of us. I looked, and I could see him. He was half hidden by an apple tree, could only see his left arm, left leg, and half his face. The way he was just creepily spying on us, I had to get us away. I did a 3-point turn off the grass onto the dirt road. We passed the decrepit barn-like house and got back on the road. We talked over possibilities. Maybe he lived there. We passed by a fruit stand on the side of the road with a few people working on it. Nikki and I lost our apple bags, so we figured we'd at least stop here. We picked up some apples and berries, and I just had to ask them about the apple orchard down the road.
Why they didn't go to the
The 2
grocery
ladies
store?
working the fruit stand proclaimed nobody should ever go anywhere near there. The owner's son had killed his girlfriend and then disappeared. Her
What?
body was found near the orchard in the forest.
What was
My
they
dad
doing?
still owns the orchard to this day, but he hardly ever returns and doesn't keep up with the place.
Wait a minute.
We practically jumped in their faces as we asked them to describe the son, but they had never seen him and don't know anything about him. I admitted to them that we went apple picking on the property and some creepy young man was following us. The 2 women said that it was best that we got out of there when we did. They also kind of scolded us for not calling the police. However, one of the ladies said she was going to warn the police. On the drive home, as Nikki spoke to me about it, everything she said really went in one ear and out the other, because I really thought to myself, did we actually run face to face with a missing murderer in an apple orchard?
Wow.
I still get chills, wondering if that guy's still out there, in that orchard.
And that was the ending of 3 True Scary October Stories. Now that I'm really watching this story, I don't know how true it is, but this last story sounds true. Because stuff like this really do happen. I mean, all these stories, stuff like this really do happen. It just don't happen to us. So we think it's not true. I really believe that was true. I don't know. I hope not. That was scary. That was the ending of this reaction video. Please, would you please like, subscribe, turn on your post notification so you can know whenever I post again, so you can be updated on every single post. Would you please share to your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your cousins, and your best of friends? Please, would you please? And that's the end of Vicky V's video. It's me, Vicky. Please come back and watch once I post again. Peace.